Hello Stampers! Today we're going to talk about Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper and how you can use it to make a quick, easy card that's really pretty stunning. And then we're going to use the Dragonfly Garden stamp set and the Dragonflies punch. So let's get started. I'm Sally Allen and I'm stamping with gas. This card is made with the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper, and let me show you what comes in this package. This is the piece that I used for this card, and it looks like this when it's a whole sheet. So I cut it in my 4 by 5 1/4, so I actually got 4 cards out of one sheet, and really the only waste I had was this white piece right here. And as always, Stampin' Up gives us both sides, and I can't wait to use this tree. That looks like Christmas to me. But there's really a lot of nice prints in here, and I can see that I'm going to have to order another package. And I just love myself when I do that, because then I end up getting rid of some of it. But anyway, I really like the paper in this Beauty of the Earth DSP. And that is in the big catalog, the annual catalog, on page, let's see, thought I had it memorized, but I don't. It's on page 130. So if you want to look for that in the annual catalog. And I'm just going to set this aside. What I did here was I used, for the card base, crumb cake, a normal 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. And then I used Mary Merlot, which I always forget to use that color. They lumped it in with the neutrals, and it's really a pretty elegant color, and I just never use it. So it's really nice on this card because you can see it picks up the Mary Merlot that's in here. And then, of course, my next layer is the Designer Series paper, and that's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. Then I used the Dragonfly Garden stamp set, and this says, "Thank you for your kindness," and I have that up there with a little tiny dragonfly there. I also stamped some little dragonflies here using some crumb cake, and they kind of blend in the paper, but they're still there. Okay, so if you were not using this dragonfly as the embellishment, you could do almost anything on here. You could make this card into any kind of card you needed. A birthday card, a sympathy card. So all you would need to do is change your embellishment here. You can use circles, you can use, I mean, just put your imagination to work, and you can see how versatile this card could be. Well, we're going to do the dragonflies, and I'm going to show you what I did with this little dragonfly. So let me set these aside here. I used vellum to do my dragonflies, and I have been messing around here for all day today, actually. And I did some silver, I did copper, and this little dragonfly that I put on this card, I stamped the dragonfly in the brown StazOn, and then cut out the dragonfly, and then I topped it off with Wink of Stella. And that's all I did to that one. The middle that you see that's white is my my strip of, I can't even remember what we call them, foam adhesive strips. They're a little bit thicker than a dimensional, but I was able to just cut a little piece and go right down there, so it looks like I meant to do it, because we all know vellum's a little bit tricky with adhesive, so that's how I did that. All right. I also did just stamped some dragonflies in the brown, and I wanted to show you how I watercolored them. So what I did was, once the Stays On dried, I just turned it over and I started messing around with the different colors on the vellum. So you can see how this one almost looks like I spilled coffee, but I didn't. I meant to do that. So when we use the punch, of course, that stain isn't going to show. And I'm just going to slide that right in there. So that looks real watercolory because it kind of bled on, you know, the different colors. So I'm getting a shadow there, but I really like that one. So this one I did a little more controlled, and I colored it a little more controlled. Now I tried my alcohol markers, but because the color, the blue, the marker that I have is so dark, it just didn't, I just didn't like it. So I ended up using kind of a watercolor painting technique. And to do that, I used my water painters, they're called. And they look like this. They come in a package like this, and you get 3. And this is different because this one has a big brush on it, and then these 2 are finer tips. So there's that one and that one. What they used to look like is this one, and I'm not going to get rid of my old ones because I use them all the time. But that's the difference, is you used to get 2 similar, or 2 of the same heads, and now you get 3 different paintbrush heads. Okay, so I just filled it with water, and let me set this aside and grab a couple of little blocks and my ink. So when I'm watercoloring with my ink, this is what I do. I know a lot of people, they squeeze their stamp pad and then get the ink here on the lid and pick it up with their brush. I quit doing that because it started, I don't know, molding or something. I don't know. So this is what I do. I take the littlest block, which is size A, and I just put it there in my ink pad. So that's my ink, my palette, I guess is what I want to call it. And that's Mary Merlot, and I meant to do the brown. So let me just set this one aside. I guess we could do Mary Merlot too. Grab another block here. So I put the block, and the brown is on there. All right, so it's hard to see, kind of. I mean, I know that this is the front, and if you have to, put a little X on your paper so that you know the front, because what you want to do with this technique is paint from the back. If you're using your markers or however you're going to lay color onto these dragonflies, work from the back. So I can tell because this is a lot bolder than this piece back here. And let me set this one aside. So I'm going to work from the back, and I'm going to squeeze just a little bit of water on here. So this is going to become my paint. And add enough water so that it's as diluted as you want it to be. If you want a real rich, deep color, then maybe you don't want to dilute it at all. I also use these giant face cleaning pads. I find them at Walgreens. They're like the little, you could use the little round ones that you get, but I found these giant ones and I really like them because that's what I use to kind of daub off my water or my ink if it's too much. So I pick up the color and then I just go at it this way. So let's just have this one. I'll just kind of do this one. I won't follow any lines or anything. And I just want to get, and the fun thing about vellum is it kind of spreads that color. I kind of figured that out by mistake because I always used watercolor paper when I was watercoloring. And I really like the way the vellum absorbs the color, so you can see how it kind of play with it down here. And if that's way too dark, I can wipe this off and just squeeze some water on here, and you see how it, so then I can lighten that up. So I've had a lot of fun playing with this vellum. And now for the body, I'm just going to clean the blue off here and pick up some brown and do the body here. Now there's two stamps of the Dragonfly, and one has this clear kind of body here, and the other one has a solid body. And let me show you. See there on the, see this one is the solid body, and this is the one that I have on this piece of vellum here. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one you use. And again, it doesn't matter how careful I am about getting that body, because I'm going to punch it out with the punch. All right, so since I did some Mary Merlot, just for giggles, let's do a Mary Merlot Dragonfly and see what we get. We could actually even mix the Mary Merlot and the blue. And I could add some like this, and then clean this off and add a little bit of water to kind of mix those up. Isn't that pretty? So that's why I've spent most of the day messing around with this, because the possibilities are endless. So that Mary Merlot really turned into a pretty dragonfly. I'm going to add just a little bit of blue and see what we get here. This side was a little wetter. You can also use your little spritzer, and I have one with water in it, this little spritzer, and I like these because it's a real fine spray. And so let me just spray this away from my table over here. There we go. So I gave it a little spritz of water, and see how it kind of spread that color. Let me clean off my brush here. So I can set that aside and let that dry. It doesn't take very long with vellum. Now other paper takes longer, but the vellum really doesn't take that long at all. Looks like we need a little bit more of the Mary Merlot right here. All right, so we're just going to set that aside. It looks kind of a frightful mess right now, but really when it dries, it'll be nice. I'll just set that up there. Make sure my brush is cleaned off here. You see why I like these little, you can use a piece of paper towel. I just really like these little, and I just use it, turn it over, and keep using it until there isn't a clean spot left on it. So it lasts quite some time. It's not like I have to get a clean one every single time. All right, so here is I did Versamark and did this in silver, hoping to get kind of a little translucent. If you've ever seen a dragonfly land, their wings are like almost like they don't have any color. They're translucent, but when the sun catches them, they get that color. So let's go ahead, since we started down that Mary Merlot lane, see what we get with this one. And I'm going to pick up some blue again. Ooh, see that? It just really I just did a little swipe. That's perfect. I'm not going to touch it anymore. That's it. I'm leaving that one. Isn't that pretty? And then the other one that I did was copper. And I don't know if I'm really excited about the copper. But maybe this Mary Merlot with the copper will be just the thing. I wasn't sure. I almost started for the gold, and then I was like, no. Oh, and this stamp is the one that's solid, the Dragonfly that's solid. So I've got a solid body there instead of the one up here. Oops. This one that has the, I don't know what you call it, segmented little body there. All right, so I don't know. What do you think of that? We'll let it dry and we'll see. Maybe spritz the back of it a little bit with some water. I don't know. Alcohol. You can always use alcohol too. That dries really fast. Sometimes water is what you want because that's, you know, when it goes slower, then you have more time to work with it. It just depends on, you know, what you're doing. You can just play with it until you're really excited about the outcome. I'm going to get this ink out of my way before I... See, I already have it all over my hands, and then you know what happens next. You touch your card and ruin it. So let me grab a baby wipe and clean myself up over here. Okay. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and clean off my blocks and get those out of the way so they don't cause any trouble. So that's how easy it is to make your little paint. I don't know, what do you call it when you're an artist? I have no idea. I don't know what I'm trying to babble about. But that's how I do my ink. All right. So there's this little guy. He's all dry. And let me show you some other combinations that I did with the Designer Series paper. On this one, oh, it's the same. This one's the same as the one that I already showed you. This one, I was messing around with cinnamon cider. So I did the cinnamon cider with the Mary Merlot on top. And then your Designer Series paper. So that's what you get with that one. And then I did the Mary Merlot with crumb cake on top. So kind of reverse of the one that I already did. I just like to play around with the different colors and see what the Designer Series paper picks up. And I really like when the paper is up against the Mary Merlot like this, because it really picks up these colors down here. I did not try it with the blue, and it would probably be gorgeous. I just had to quit messing around because I was using up all my paper. All right, so on this one, on this one, I stamped the sentiment right here on the Designer Series paper. When you do that, I do recommend you use the Stamparatus, because when you're doing it right on the paper like that, if you mess up, which I did on this one, I did mess up, and so I just cut the greeting out of with the the oval duo punch and put it over my mistake rather than tossing the card. So I always like to fix mistakes. I did use a stamp that looks a little bit like a splash. So on here, I did the little dragonflies, and then I did my big dragonfly down here, like this. Now this guy is going to stay curled a little bit. I'm just going to take a pencil and try to bend his will back this way. So see, I kind of bent it back where he goes. So let me show you how I did the foam adhesive strips. I always keep these things just as close as I keep my dimensionals all the time. So I'm just going to pick up a little strip like this and put it right here on the back of the dragonfly. I didn't get it quite as long as I did on the other one, but it still looks like it's intentionally part of its body. Peel that paper off. and put your dragonfly right there. So there, that's how you can make a lovely dragonfly card. And if you're like me, you can play around for a long time and make a bunch of dragonflies and have them sitting around. Let's cut this blue one out and see what he looks like. I guess. Oh, and I have another kind of trick to show you too with this dragonfly. So I don't know what I think about that copper. Let's get this out of my way. What do we think about that? I don't know. It's a little heavy. I think the embossing makes it a little heavy. I like the more lighter translucent look with this one. So I will use this one to show you a little trick. If you look on the stamps, you notice that you get 2 of the dragonfly stamps, the big dragonfly, and then this little group of dragonflies here, but you do not get the little dragonfly like is on the punch. So what I do is I take a dragonfly, and maybe I shouldn't cut it out. It's easier if you don't cut it out. So I have my dragonfly made, and now I'm just going to slide that in there. And let me see if you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to line up the little head, and then I'm just going to punch. Do you see that? And now it looks like I have, that was a stamp. And I'm really just using the big stamp from the dragonfly. I can show it to you maybe a little better on this. So this is just on a white piece of paper. So line up that, let me see if I can get it up a little closer. Line it up. And see, it doesn't matter if you get the head. What you really want is that wing part. Because the head is, oops, I've got some stuff stuck in there. The head is already on the stamp, so it doesn't matter. Get myself tweezers here. Pull that out. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so we'll try this again. Let me get this up here. So see the little head? You can see it right there. I'm going to drag it down, and I'm going to keep my eye on the wings, because the wings are what I really want to catch. I'm going to move it over just a little. You see that? So I've got the body. It's going to make its own little head, and I've got the design of the wings. Punch it. And there we go. Without the stamp. So that's how I've been getting the little butterfly. Just like that. All right. So we've had a little bit of fun today. We made a really nice card that looks like this one. And I laid my other one down somewhere. So here's this card. And we made a bunch of, let's check our dragonflies here. So that turned out very pretty with the silver and the Mary Merlot. I'm going to cut that one out because I like the way the blue and the Mary Merlot mix together. So, as I said, you can have these dragonflies sitting around, and then when you need a fast card, you can dig through your packages of paper and find the appropriate ones. I just really love this paper. I wish I could get a whole package of it. I just love the design of this paper, and it's watercolory, and that's what gave me the idea to watercolor the dragonflies, is that the paper itself looked watercolored. So I hope you have fun messing with this the way I did. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time.